Welcome to episode 32 of Beer with Strangers. I am your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week by professional pinch hitter, Sean Hager.
What's up, guys?
We got lots of great stuff this week. Plenty of stuff in the news, some stuff worth talking about, some stuff worth arguing about, and some stuff worth sharing. So let's start with the stuff worth sharing because I got my big break for my book came out this week.
Nice.
We got the cover proof, and the cover looks awesome. And I'm ready. Hold your breath. We're gonna turn a little bit here. I promised I would fix this, but then I didn't. So anyway, so the book cover's out, and they told me that I would be able to share that socially by the end of next week. So please follow us on State of the Beer and keep an eye out for that. And then buy my book because I think it's awesome, and I think that you'll think it's awesome too. And some other news. Next week we hope to have Brian Brushmiller or one of his representatives, one of his people, on the show. And would you like to talk about the big news out of Burley this week?
The Kickstarter program?
The Kickstarter.
Yes. Looks like our friend the neighborhood brewery is wanting to can their beer and distribute it publicly. So go to Kickstarter, find Burley Oak, and give them your money and get some stuff in free return.
Yeah, I don't know if you got to see the T-shirts yet, but they have this special T-shirt that's only for people who donate.
And a bottle opener and
that I didn't see, but I saw Todd was wearing the T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
If you really have too much time on your hands, go over to GCFL here on Google Plus and search for our Happy Hour Toddcast, which is a news and entertainment podcast, and you'll see Todd wearing the Burley shirt, and they look good in it. It looks like
I mean there's a lot of really cool things on there. I mean everything from just thanks to a poem written by those guys, which is gonna have to be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I would imagine.
All the way up to if you have a copious amount of money to spend, I think it's $3,000. You get your name. You get to help design beer, and then the cover of the beer is inspired by you. So if you got that kind of money, go throw it down. If not, toss what you can to help out a really good up and coming brewery.
Yeah, and it'll be good. One of the things that it was kind of funny that I've been pushing lately, and by lately I mean like in the last 6 to 8 months, is just this notion of craft beer in a can. I love the idea. I'm a huge fan of it, and I'm not the only one.
Oh, no, absolutely. A good friend of mine had posted on Facebook last night. He's been debunking quite a few beer and wine myths online. He's kind of dedicated his week to it. And one of the things is that beer is better in bottles, and it's just not true. In a can, it's preserved better. There's no chance of getting light to it.
No air.
No air. And if you say that you can taste the aluminum, pour in a bottle. Glass.
I dispute that. I think that I'm a secret super taster. I can taste wine flies. Do you know what wine flies are? The fruit flies that we have around here? I can smell them. I don't even have to see them. If one is in my drink, I know it by the time I get it to my mouth.
It's a Cetobacter that you're smelling.
Cetobacter, is that what it's called?
Yep. It's a bacteria that they carry on them. It's also used for making red wine vinegar.
Oh, what I always tell people who can't smell it or they think they can't smell it, I always say it smells like a metal Dunkin' Donut.
Okay.
I
can't imagine that one.
That
but
horrible
sure.
sweetness of a Dunkin' Donut, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a very sweet donut, and then you bite into it and it's steel. That's the smell of a wine fly.
Those little traps over there. That's what
we just got a bunch of them, and they
smell
actually work.
Is that what you smell?
Yes. So the wine flies, the aluminum you can't taste. You're psychological.
If you can taste it, it's because you're making out with the top of the can.
Looking for it.
And just if you don't want to taste, pop it open, pour it in a glass like you're supposed to do anyway. That way you get the aroma in it. Unless it's heady topper because they tell you not to. And from experience, I agree with that because that is
too much
terrifying looking. Tastes delicious. Looks like pond water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought there were sea monkeys swimming around there.
That's funny. I actually
bits and yeast but it was good. Great beer.
Well, what I posted earlier this week on the State of the Beer blog was my little ode to cans, And one of the things that I thought was cool is I went to a Mets game last year, and I was able. We can get it here in Del Mar, but I was able to get Old Chub in a can, which is not an IPA.
No.
It's what is it? It's an amber or it's
Scottish.
Scottish. But you can get ambers. You can get. It doesn't have to be IPAs anymore, which is what's exciting to me because I don't mind IPAs.
Yeah,
but if I want a beer in a can, up until relatively recently, I would have to get an
Oscar
IPA.
Blues is about one of the few that was doing it, and you can get everything from, like you said, their Dale's Pale all the way up to 1050.
Yeah.
Their Imperial Stout.
They've got these huge beers in cans, which again is fantastic. Rocket Cycle is another one you can get locally at the Cheers, and that's a big amber. I think that's also out of Colorado. But flavorful beers in cans, and it's an idea whose time long ago came and went.
Yeah.
Cheaper to ship, and the other thing I made mention of is this notion of shelf space that small brewers are trying to cultivate shelf space. Nothing will get you more shelf space than being able to put more dollars per square inch on a shelf.
I see Sam Adams, a lot of their stuff. I just had their Oktoberfest. It's in a can now as well.
Oh, really? How was that?
The Oktoberfest or the can?
The Oktoberfest in the can. No.
This year was okay. It didn't taste like metal.
It didn't taste like
it was really sweet.
metal Dunkin' Donuts.
No, it didn't taste like aluminum. But I saw a really neat can the other week. It was an IPA, and I can't remember where I got it from. One of our awesome customers brought it in. Some IPA from down south, and a lot of breweries worry that when they get it into canning, you have to get a gazillion cans with that print on them. What this brewery did is they get blank cans. Once it's canned, sealed, it goes through a thing, and a little sleeve gets put on it, and it heat seals the sleeve.
Like almost like screen printing.
Except it's actually a plastic screen, or you can pull it back off if you choose to. It's
really?
a little shrink wrap.
Oh, wow.
So they don't have to buy, 10,000 blanks for a beer they're only going to make,
For a
Right.
six-pack up.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. I mean, I'm sure it's not very cheap, but at the same time, if you don't have a lot of storage space,
Right.
it's okay to keep a whole bunch of blanks that I can change whenever I want than it is to, I got 65,000 of these beers that no one likes.
Right, and now I have to deal with them. So anyway, we're looking forward to that in both here locally and just generally. We spoke at an early show with Augie Carton, and he does his own canning. There's someone locally who just started. You were telling me that the Lazy Lizard cans. Did you tell me that?
I didn't tell you that.
Is that true?
I've never been there.
The Lazy Lizard may or may not can. Go ask them. They threw me out. So
Rumor has it.
Rumor
from him.
From me. It's my rumor. But anyway, there is the other thing that I discovered in talking to the guy from OC Brewing was that there is someone around here who does contract canning. The Delmarva Peninsula has a representative.
Miss Pillion did it.
Miss Pillion.
They did do theirs.
There you go.
Yep, guy backs up, has a machine or like a machine line. This is how it's explained to me. Basically, it's a truck. You pump the beer in, he cans it, it pops out the other side, gives you his cases, and says, "Have a nice day. Give me my check."
Yeah, absolutely, and that's another good way to go. I mean, clearly, if you can raise the $45,000, or if you have the $45,000 it takes to buy a canning line, then that's good for you.
Oh, absolutely.
But in the Northeast, and I know in Virginia as well, these mobile canning trucks are cottage industry, and people are responding to them in a big way, which means to me that we'll be starting to see more and more. It used to be to go in and you look for a bottle you've never seen before, and I think in another year we'll be looking for cans we've never seen before.
Right. Like I said, I'm all about the can idea. I like it. It's easier to transport. I don't have to worry about busting and shattering a can.
Right.
I love it. I prefer canned beer.
Yeah, me too.
Bottles are great, but actually I prefer draft over anything.
Right, but for instance, I always bring it back to tailgating or to picnicking and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can't take a tap with me.
Right, and you could because Ed has that rolling setup that.
Yeah, his rolling brew setup. I could just have a little keg set on a bike, which I've seen that.
Yeah, but that's extreme. This is extreme brewing, but
yes,
that's extreme for like a guy like me. I don't happen to brew my own, so like to buy a bike and then buy a sixtel and then
Yeah.
I'm
just lazy.
Yeah, let me just walk in, buy a 6-pack, and be done with it.
Right.
So that's canning for this week. Let us know what you think about canning. Let us know if how you feel about the big production move generally, because segue into section number 2, the brew hub, the big brew hub announcement. Brew hub is a massive contract brewer. It was started by a guy who used to work at Anheuser-Busch, and what they're going to do is make contract beers in magnitude for smaller breweries. The one that they mentioned, which is the one that I like to mention because it's a beer I've tried and it's a beer I like, is Cigar City. So Cigar City makes High Life, which is this IPA, and it's just very wheelhouse. And this is this is the best thing it has going for it. Cigar City said, we're not going to give them our kooky beers to try to make. We're going to give them our wheelhouse IPA, which we've been making for 15 years or whatever, and then we're going to just let them crank that out. They'll be cranking it out at 20,000 gallons at a time. And they're setting up the idea is to set up 5 brew hubs across the country, because this is their claim, and this is another thing that speaks for it. Their claim is that they want to be able to do fresher beer to people more locally. So, for instance, they're going to do this. They're going to do this High Life and send it out. But then when they move to St. Louis, which is the next place they're going to open up, they'll be able to make High Life there, and then they'll be able to distribute High Life there in St. Louis.
Right. I like the idea. I see that there could be potential issues.
Yeah.
Like water quality. I mean, I know you can get pretty close to the water quality and things like that, but I mean, I don't know. It's back and forth. I mean,
yeah, the hipster in you wants to say no. Fight the power.
There's no hipster.
You know what I mean?
No.
You want to say, yeah, it's not real, man. It's not the way it used to. I feel the same way.
My thing is that I hope that there's some kind of quality control, that I can go anywhere and get a High Life that tastes like it would be at Cigar City. And I mean, I know the argument to that is, well, Budweiser, yes, it tastes like crap, but it tastes like crap. The exact same kind of crap everywhere you go.
Right.
But they also they spend a lot of money on blenders and tasters whose job is to make sure that
that's the Hub City said. That's what that guy brought with him from.
Yeah.
Anheuser-Busch. These tasters and the scientists.
And I hope that he puts that in a good way. And if that's the case, then they're going to nail it, because I mean, to get Budweiser, which has no flavor, to have no flavor everywhere.
Right.
It's going to be, I shouldn't say easier, but I think it's going to be a little bit less challenging to make a beer that is bold.
That you can,
and
that
flavorful.
has different points that you have to hit.
Yeah, and you can, I think, you can kind of hide behind a little, some things in IPAs and stouts. It's. And
that's the other thing, as long as they're not making, like one of the things that they were talking about, I heard at Burley Oak, was like maybe one doing like a sour can. Like, you're not going to make 20,000 gallons worth of sour cans, right? No one's going to buy $20,000 worth of sour.
No, I mean, unless you can make it something that's friendly for the masses.
And that's the idea. These are the friendly beers, which I think mostly does good, as long as they solve the consistency problem.
Yeah.
As you'll read in Eastern Shore Beer if you get a chance, one of the big problems was consistency in the 90s. As they started to grow, these places started to try to leap up, and they couldn't keep the consistency when they doubled and tripled in size.
It's I've seen that in quite a few breweries. When it was a small batch beer, it was really good, and the bigger the volume gets, that beer starts to kind of lose its the edge that it had before. And I've even seen that with home brewers that have turned into pro brewers or brewery owners and brewmasters or whatever you want to call them. But we have a local Finn City does contract brewing,
right?
And the beer that they have contract brewed is one of their absolute best sellers.
That's the pumpkin, right?
Their pumpkin and their black IPA.
The Black IPA is a serious beer. That was
that
very
beer
good.
is awesome.
Yeah,
The company that they went with nailed it.
Well, one of the things I guess we talked about on this show, but I guess I may have spoken about it with Doug, is that Vince actually goes up. Vince, the head brewer at Fin City, actually goes and does the brewing there.
Yep.
So he's getting used to the system. But their idea is eventually they're going to have their own big system.
Right, but for a small company, they can get some revenue.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think this brew hub,
Brew hub.
that, and just like the mobile canning guys, I can get my beer to more people. That's more people to get me more money to the business and expand the business.
Absolutely.
So financially, as long as you're not going in debt to these people, I think it's a fantastic idea. As long as the beer is consistent, and I think, like you said, it will work for mainline beers.
Right.
It's not
weird beers are going to be. I don't think that I would get.
You might have a
raspberry chocolate. I don't know.
I just had that.
Raspberry chocolate amber.
Oh.
I wouldn't get in a can because that's chancy. It's just. I wouldn't get from a brewer. Like I would get in a can if Third Wave here in Delmar was making it.
Yes.
And
local.
And if they were making it within 20 miles, then it's coming right out of there. But if it was in big production, I think
that's funny you said
complex beers are gonna.
I had that one from Rogue.
How was it?
It's raspberry chocolate pretzel. It was from the Voodoo Donut series. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. Their bacon maple one was
bacony or mapley.
Too sweet, I think. Because I like.
Oh yeah.
I love the smoky bacon beers. I can get down with that. I mean, I'm a big guy. Bacon's delicious. Now, if they made a Scrapple beer,
that would be. My wife would drink that all the time. She's a huge fan of Scrapple. So the other thing, though, that we wanted to kind of touch on when we were talking about this increased demand is they're getting ready to have one of their biggest craft beer festivals now in China, in Beijing. Craft beer is catching on in a big way, and there are like 3 or 4 largish independent brewers in
I wonder
China.
how that's going to be because it's so communist and.
Well, they've got land. They've got people who like beer.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wonder if it's going to be, you're going to make, like, have you ever seen the North Korean beer?
No.
One beer. It's got what used to be Kim Jong-un or whatever.
Right.
But Kim Jong-il. His face on the beer. And that was the beer. You don't drink beer, you drink Kim Jong-il beer.
That's great.
I
would love to get a can of that.
Oh, yeah. What's funny, but I wonder if the communism will kind of step in on that and say, okay, that's fine, but here's your lord and dictator.
Well, yeah, generally someone who's connected is the one who's opening up these.
Yeah, I know a guy who was talking about opening a brewery in a communist country. I'm not going to go into details just because that's his business thing, but it's exactly like that. The money is the mafia per se, and if you get with the right one, you get what you want. If not, you probably should just leave.
Right, yeah.
It's probably not good for you.
Grease all the right wheels.
Yeah.
But one of the things that it made me start to think about is last year, almost an entire year ago, Duvel bought Boulevard Brewing out of Kansas City. And the reason that they bought it was just to make sure that they had a supply of American craft beers, which were coming into real demand in Belgium. And now that's kind of spreading. The American craft brewers are in demand in England. I do not know about Germany, but we'll talk about Germany in a second.
Actually,
are they in demand in Germany?
That's a good segue. Stone.
Right.
Did you read about that?
No, I don't.
Stone is planning on opening a brewery in Germany.
Oh, very cool.
Yep. And they might also be our neighbors here soon. They're tossing around the idea of opening a brewery in either Virginia or Maryland.
That is and that's the other thing that I thought about with brew hubs. So because you have Sierra Nevada in
Asheville.
And then New Belgium is in
Asheville.
Is that true?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Oscar Blues is also in Asheville.
Yeah, well, Oscar Blues, I know.
They're all 3 right there.
So
like
and the idea is they're bringing the recipes with them, but they're making it here because it was cheaper to build a new brewery than it was to continue to ship stuff all the way across the country.
Yeah.
In the long run. And so hopping across to Europe makes complete and utter sense.
So yeah, I mean, it's craft beer, especially the American craft beer scene, is it's something everyone else wants because we are so diverse and we always go, bigger, better, stronger, faster, hoppier, alcohol, whatever we can do. And I think they kind of want in on it, but I don't think a lot of the traditional breweries.
And that's what if you again check on the State of the Beer the State of the Beer Google feed, you'll see that there's a story about guys who are opening what are being billed as American style craft breweries in England, with the idea of like, no, this isn't going to be a traditional English. Yeah, we're going to do weird things, and you're going to come in here and you're going to try 4 beers, and 3 of them you're not going to like the first time you try.
Brewdogs out of Scotland. The guys who were doing the TV show for Esquire.
Right.
I mean, their brewery is just, their stuff they make is over the top. I mean, for a while they were going tit for tat with another brewery who can get the highest alcohol. It was like Tactical Nuclear Penguin and 32% Imperial Stout. Then it was 50-some-odd% alcohol IPA, and then it was I'm not sure if they hit the 60% range. I think it was like a Saison, and when you get the bottle, it came inside of a taxidermied squirrel. Literally, they took all the notable American aspects of freaky craft beer and just went overboard with it. But some of their IPAs or some of their beers that I've had are pretty good.
And that's one of the things that everybody's going to have to be a little bit kitschy. And one of the things that I mentioned when I was writing about this is I might switch from Bud Light to Miller Lite to get a cool bottle opener. But I'm not going to switch from Dogfish Head to Miller Lite for the cool bottle. Yeah. But Dogfish Head still has to make cool bottle openers to get my attention. So not my personal attention.
No, I know what you're saying.
Everybody's got to do the kitschy stuff. Everybody's got to do the marketing stuff. Everybody's got to have something cool and something neat and something in your face. The difference is now with a more educated craft drinking public, you're going to have people who know the difference. And like I have certain expectations with Miller Lite, which is, well, I really needed that bottle opener, but
man, I'm glad I paid $2 for
exactly. I have $3.50 in my pocket.
Yeah.
So
that's the best part about going to the Shorebirds game. It's like Thursday night. It's like $2 for a barrel of it. I'm like, you know what?
As long as you have peanuts, that's fine.
You gotta stay hydrated one way or another.
Right.
It's the same as water.
So. But the kitschy part of it is not going to last you if you're not making good stuff, which is new now. So as these companies start to jump up, that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot more of these interesting promotions and a lot of them being able to do cooler things. But as long as they're bringing in the good beer, and like I said, hopefully High Life will be available here in 6 months because that was
great.
Good.
It's so hard to find Cigar City here, and they're a really, really good brewery. I mean, I know everybody you always hear about Hennepin and the Hennepin disaster of 2014. Right. I've had it once. It's a great beer. I would love to see something like that make its way up here. Even if you get this beer made, you're still gonna have to get the distribution rights for the different states. So that would be your step into a lot of states to get in. Get your foot in the door, kind of thing. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I hope it takes off.
No, it just opened in Lakeland, so I would be surprised if we didn't have our fair share if not by Christmas, then certainly by the spring.
I'm looking forward to it, definitely. That's great.
And so we're going to wrap up real quick with a story about a brewing nun. And again, all of these are linked on the web page, and will be linked in the text. Sister Doris.
Yes, Sister Doris, who's been brewing in I'm going to attempt to name Germany, yes,
Bavaria,
yes, since 1975.
Since 1975.
And you know more about the backstory than I do.
She actually took over for the other brewing nun who started there in the 1930s. So there have only been 2 nuns brewing at this particular brewery, and she gets on brew days. She doesn't go to prayers. She's excused from prayers to go to do the brewing, and she's a great big strong-looking
Strong
woman.
like bull.
She is strong like bull.
I'm making beer.
And it's funny because in the story, one of the things that she says is when she applied, she became a nun. She went to that nunnery convent, and they were looking for an assistant brewer, and she said, I would like to learn to brew. And she said the brewer at the time looked at her like a farmer might look at an ox. And there's a picture of her picking up a keg. She's got to be in her 60s. She's picking up a keg.
And I'm not talking a sixtel. It's a keg. And she's just picking it up like, oh,
yeah, this is what I do.
My job. But she's a legitimate brewmaster.
In Germany.
Like, you go through the brewmaster program in Germany. You can be a head brewer, you can be an awesome brewer, you can be a Siebel graduate or from a couple of the other schools, but you are not a brewmaster, and so you go through that. So that's incredibly impressive. There's not a lot of those people.
Right.
And she's a big, awesome woman who I don't want to tangle with her, but
yeah,
I can only imagine that the beer would be awesome. I mean, to be doing it for 40 some odd years, yeah. And you said she replaced
since the 1930s at least. But it's been a brewery. I mean, it's a monastery, so it's been a brewery.
So you know it's good beer.
Yeah, since before ever. But that's the thing that's fascinating that we have still kind of half borrowed from Germany, and I think wisely is they take the drink local very seriously. Like you said, you can only imagine, and yes, literally you can only imagine because they make enough beer to cover their area.
Mm-hmm.
They just make enough beer for the people. So if you go there on vacation and you're lucky, you can get some of the beer, but mostly it's just for them.
Yeah, it's in a lot of the monasteries they actually sell the majority of the beer to fund said monastery.
Right. And that's why you're paying like $1,000 for a bottle of Trappist
to get it here. Yeah. And you go there, it's pretty cheap.
Right.
You know, but you're drinking it out of a barrel. But it's awesome, and to them, it's more than a job. And I think that really shows in the end product. What's strange about Germany, or I should say strange, awesome about Germany, two good friends of mine, they went to Germany this year and kind of just drank their way through Germany. And they'll tell you, each little city that you go in has their own beer style. Like this style is known for their, Pilsners, and this one's known for their smoked beers, which is like the Bamberg region and things like that. And you just go around, and each little region has their own little town beer, and that's what they're good at doing, and that's what they do. Yeah,
and I'll bet that at least has something to do with the yeast and the.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it has.
I mean, the guy who makes malt there has his great
it's been forever
there. So very cool. So check out all these stories and more. Please like, comment, share. Reach out to us in any way you can. This is a special time, special station. We will be back next week at 5 p.m. still, but on Thursday rather than Friday, either with Sean or with Doug, whomever's here, and definitely with me because I love the sound of my own voice.
And he does it. We're just here.
And it's my toys.
Yes. We allow him to be
I bring
here.
the ball. Yeah. Classes. Have classes started yet? You guys got classes
we have got the class dates together. We have not posted them yet. So if you want to learn how to make beer, or if you know how to make beer and you want to learn how to make beer our way, come on out. So far, we've got a couple introduction to brewing classes, winemaking classes, and we will be putting an all-grain class up. Also, last-minute thing, if anybody's watching it, you want to be in the Good Beer Festival homebrew competition. Registration deadline is the 15th, so sign up. Let other people judge you in a good way, or a bad way if you make bad beer. But that's not just bad. Don't make bad beer. But yeah, check us out on Facebook, Facebook/Extreme Brewing.
Yeah, and extremebrewing.com is where you'll get the class lists when they are posted. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.